Namaste and welcome back. After listening to this video, you will get an understanding of what is a blockchain, how blockchain works, and what is the technology behind this and its related things. You may get a doubt that whatever the topics that we have seen so far are not blockchain. Obviously, they are the concepts, or we can say they are the foundations of the blockchain. Why I am calling this foundation means those are the pillars of the blockchain networks. So that is the reason I have explained those foundations at the first, that is in the beginning stages. Now I'm going to start the main concept of the blockchain, that is understanding the blockchain, combining the bits and pieces. Here bits and pieces means whatever the topics that we have studied so far in the previous lectures, I am combining together to explain you what is blockchain, how the blockchain is advantageous compared to the existing security methods. You may recall the blockchain foundations that I have covered in the first lecture of this course. The blockchain foundations are broadly three things. One is networking, in which we have seen the centralized networks, decentralized networks, distributed networks, and peer-to-peer networks. While coming to the second part of the blockchain foundations, second one is cryptography, in which we have seen the concepts of encryption, decryption, hashing, and digital signature. The encryption is a concept which is especially used for achieving the confidentiality, where in case of decryption, for which you need to have a secret mechanism called key, which is used for performing the decryption of the message, that is decryption of the encrypted message. Then hashing is a technique especially used for performing the or checking the integrity of the message. Next one is digital signature, which is especially used to achieve the non-repudiation property of the cryptography. In this, encryption and decryption is based upon some key algorithm that may be a public key or private key. However, in blockchain, the blockchain will use the public key algorithm. The famous elliptic curve cryptography algorithms have been used for the encryption and decryption purpose. Next, data structure. Here, the data structure are the Merkle trees that already I have covered in the previous video. Distributed ledger technology. What is meant by distributed ledger and how these distributed ledgers are maintained, and other concepts have been discussed in the previous videos. Next one is databases. How the blockchain is different from the distributed databases have been covered in the previous videos. So the bits and pieces that I have covered in the previous videos, now in this video I am trying to cover all these bits and pieces that I have discussed to explain you and to gain understanding of the blockchain. To introduce the blockchain concept, the blockchain is a peer-to-peer network to transfer the digital assets. Here, a peer-to-peer network, in the starting stages of the course, I have explained about the networking concept, in which I have explained the distributed networks, peer-to-peer networks, centralized networks, and decentralized networks, in which this blockchain is a peer-to-peer network to transfer, especially here, what is going to be transferred in this? The transferring of digital assets are going to be taken place in this peer-to-peer network. The main aim of the blockchain is to avoid the central authority. In the previous systems like banking system or any other systems, the central authority is the one who will take care of the assets or digital transfer. So here the basic idea of the blockchain is to completely avoid the central authority and thereby to reach the decentralized approach. Originally, this blockchain concept first used in the cryptocurrency called Bitcoin. Hence, the Bitcoin has become a significant cryptocurrency. Even today, the people are trying to invest in the Bitcoin cryptocurrencies and want to trade in the Bitcoin cryptocurrencies. So this is actually a continuous digital currency system. That means there is no shutdown of the services in the Bitcoin cryptocurrency. And at the same time, it is completely autonomous and decentralized. That means there is no central authority to keep track of this cryptocurrency. So this Bitcoin blockchain is said to be the mother of all blockchains. That means we have seen in the previous videos, there exists some different versions of the blockchain. However, the Bitcoin version of the blockchain is the elementary blockchain version that has been developed by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2009, which is considered to be the mother of all blockchains. That is the reason every blockchain learner, first of all, will try to understand the Bitcoin blockchain. The reason is it is a public blockchain. In public blockchain, we have seen in the distributed databases versus blockchain lecture video that completely that distributed databases and is quite different from the public blockchain, and in how many ways and how many properties the public blockchain completely differ from the functioning of the distributed databases in respect of consensus protocols, in view of the scalability and throughput, in view of the possible security attacks. So like that, we have seen various other properties that have completely have distinction between the general databases, not only general databases, private blockchains also. So that is the reason Bitcoin blockchain was widely studied by the researchers and students and also learners who wants to learn the blockchain and want to program the blockchain. So that is the reason Bitcoin blockchain is considered to be the mother of all blockchains. So blockchain concepts have been received significant attention thereafter, and researchers have developed this basic blockchain concept and has extended to various applications and different domains to suit the advantages of the blockchain and to utilize the power of the blockchain completely in various other domains. So what are those domains? Like government, that is government operations, finance operations, healthcare systems, supply chain management, manufacturing, digital media transfer, decentralized business logic, distributed resources, crowdfunding, and many more applications nowadays are running on the blockchain network. Usually, as a beginner of the blockchain, people used to say that blockchain means the cryptocurrency Bitcoin. But Bitcoin is different and blockchain is different. Blockchain is the backbone of the Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is not blockchain. So the listeners and the viewers are requested to understand the difference between the blockchain and the Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency which will work on top of the blockchain. So it is just like the relation between the Bitcoin and blockchain is just like email and internet. In order to send an email, you need to have internet. Like that, to work with the Bitcoin cryptocurrency, you must have the related blockchain. So this is what the distinction between the cryptocurrency and blockchain. What is the technology behind this Bitcoin? First, we'll try to understand the technology behind this. Then we can easily understand what is the blockchain. In 2008, Bitcoin was proposed by Satoshi Nakamoto. Here, I have written the unknown in the bracket. The reason is no one knows so far whether Satoshi Nakamoto is an individual or a group of people. No one knows who is he, and that is the reason uh, he has not been came out as a the picture of the person so far. So Bitcoin enables peer-to-peer transfer of currency without central authority. That is the aim of the blockchain network, to completely avoid the centralized authority. Then, how to achieve or how to enable trust and security without central authority? Because we all are habituated to the centralized banking systems and centralized networks and many other things where there is a trust and a security that will be maintained by the central authority. But because of the absence of this central authority, how this particular trust and security is maintained in Bitcoin? Here, this trust and security is not only maintained for the Bitcoin, but also in any blockchain network, especially the public, private, and consortium blockchain networks. So this particular trust and security is achieved via verification, validation, consensus, and immutable recording with the blockchain infrastructure. So these four are the keywords that are going to be discussed in the next slide. So this verification, validation, consensus, and immutable recording. Here, what is meant by verification? Verification means if any transaction is initiated, then the one the one who are participating in the network will be in a position to verify whether this transaction has been generated by a particular user or not. Validation means it is dealing with the validation. That means the verification in the sense whether it is initiated by the sender or not. Validation means whether the asset that has been transferred in the particular transaction is a valid asset or not. That means you may have a a 1 rupee in physically, but when you have the physical coin with you, you have to spend only once. But if you have a digital coin, then you can take a replica of it and may spend double time. That is, spend 2 times or 3 times. You can generate any number of any replicas of the digital asset and can go for spending of that. But how this particular digital asset is validated, whether this is the only the digital asset to be assigned or to be with the sender or the transaction initiator, is the validation process. Then consensus, that means here two or more people or some group of people will come together and will agree upon the transaction that this transaction is valid and verified, and so that this transaction can be committed. So this is what we call consensus. This consensus we have seen in the previous videos how this consensus in general will be achieved. And immutable recording. That means once you record this particular transaction on the ledger, then that particular transaction cannot be modified in future, which is called immutable recording. These four are the buzzwords that not need to become that are need to be understood to understand this particular blockchain concept. Example, in a centralized system, the central authority, for example, if any buyer wants to make payment to the seller, then whenever he use his credit card or debit card, then that that credit card and debit card transaction processing will go like this. The central authority, that means the bank or any agent who have issued this credit card or debit card, will be coming into the picture. From there, the command will go to them making a credit or debit card transaction. Then the customer to the debit card, the debit card to the debit card bank, debit card bank to the debit card bank agency. And here the agency means here the security provider like Visa or MasterCard. Then it will go to the merchant's bank, from the merchant's bank to the merchant account. You look at how many entities are involved in this transaction. So that is the reason In the centralized one, if any one of these uh, intermediaries fail to forward the transaction, then the entire transaction will be failed. So that is the reason ultimately the aim of this blockchain is to avoid these many roles in the transaction processing. There should be only the user, the sender, and the receiver. Only one verifier, few verifiers will be there who is going to verify this particular transaction. For the that means verify means here these four things will be performed. First, they will go for verification of the transaction, and they will go for validation of the asset. Then they will reach a consensus, and finally, once they reach the consensus, that particular transaction will be recorded onto the ledger so that that transaction cannot be modified in future. So far, we have seen the transaction validation, verification, consensus, and immutable recording orally with respect to the cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies, in the sense here, the transferring of the currency in a digital form will take place. But in business environment, the asset is not only the cryptocurrency or currency, the asset may be of any form. So the reason, let will have the understanding of, or let will look at the general business environment before moving on to the discussion on the blockchain. General business environment, any business network, any business in general will work in a network. That means no business will work in isolation. Anyhow, one business will depend upon another business. Thereby, a network will form. That means the traders may be there, the traders and sellers, buyers, and the goods exports, imports, and many of the agencies will be involved in this network. So whenever this particular network involves, that means this particular network broadly involves the customers, manufacturers, banks, especially the financial institutions like the insurance agencies, etc., partners, stakeholders, and many more people. Mostly, business happens through markets. So they can be private markets or public markets. Here, the private markets are supply chain finances, financial bonds, etc., will come under the private network. Our public markets are like a grain market, fruit market, car showrooms. All these are the public markets where anyone can come and go for the purchasing of the products. Wealth to business is generated via exchange of assets. It means any business network can earn the wealth and can stabilize by conducting the good business. That business will be happened via exchange of assets. Here the assets may be in the form of goods or services. Here goods, in the sense, these are the goods of the things that are available in the public market, such as grains, fruits, or cars, or maybe bikes, or maybe any other vehicles, etc. And services means they may provide you the services like HR services. They may provide some uh, the human resources services or security services or many any other services can be provided. Thereby, you can get the you can pay the amount. Thereby, business will happen. So, these assets across business contracts or transactions. These assets may be tangible. Tangible means may be visible like house, car, vehicles, etc. Or sometimes intangible, which cannot be seen, but it may be in the form of mortgage, bonds, patents, copyrights, etc. In addition, cash is also an asset with anonymity property, like how we use e-cash or digital cash in nowadays in the electronic commerce applications. Like that, cash can also be considered as an asset with anonymity property. Movement of assets. This point is a very key point that we need to be that need to be understand to have or gaining the understanding of the blockchain, because the terminology used in this point has been consistently used in throughout this course. Movement of assets across various entities in a business network are recorded to ledger. That means If the trader wants to sell something to a seller, or if a buyer wants to buy something from the trader, then the movement of these assets, that product's movement, will be recorded onto a register called ledger. That means the seller may write that we have provided this many items to so and so company, and the company may write that we have received these many items from so and so trader. So in this way, they will maintain their own registers, and they will try to note this particular transaction in those registers. Those registers are said to be ledgers. A business may have multiple ledgers because a business may link it with multiple traders. Hence, the business may have multiple ledgers. At the same time, in the business which will work in the network, every entity in the network may have their own register. So that is the reason in that context, a business may have multiple ledgers. An asset transfer onto or off the ledger is said to be a transaction. That means which was recorded, that means an item which was sent out of the company or received from to the into the company are said to be the transactions which are recorded onto the ledger. If a transaction happen via a condition, then it is said to be contract. That means the movement of the assets was happened based upon some condition, then that condition is said to be the contract. Here you are supposed to gain understanding of ledger, assets, transaction, contract. These are the terminology or the buzzwords or keywords that we'll discuss throughout this course in one or another form. So previously we have seen the Bitcoin related thing. Now we have seen in general, not only the Bitcoin we can consider as asset, we can also consider any other thing which may be a tangible or intangible goods can be considered as assets, and movement of these assets is said to be the it will form the business, and in business every entity who are participating in the business will maintain their own registers to keep track of the transactions happened. That particular register is said to be ledger, and a business network may have multiple ledgers, and an asset transfer onto or off the ledger is said to be transaction, and if a transaction happened via a condition, then it's said to be contract. Now, what is blockchain? Let us consider the problem. Assume that this is a network of business in which you have the participant A and participant B and a bank, because the business will also involve the financial institutions like banks, auditor records. Auditor may have his own record, the regulator record, and insurer record. So these are the insurer, participant A, participant B, bank, auditor, and regulator, and everyone is having his own their own records. And how you can confirm that the entries that are made in the participant A's record is same in the participant B's record, also same in the bank's record, also same in the auditor record, regulator record, as well as insurer record. You cannot guarantee that same entry will be there in all the records, because this is a completely individual records. You know, that means many business networks will maintain the records properly or may not maintain the records properly, and you cannot assure always that the same entry of transaction will be available in across all the registers in the network. So that is the reason separate ledger keeping is inefficient, expensive, as well as vulnerable. Why it is vulnerable? Anyone can write any transaction of their choice at their will in their ledgers. That is the reason it is vulnerable. But the blockchain is a trusted, distributed ledger which is shared across the business process. That means instead of having individual ledger across the entities in the network, we'll maintain one distributed ledger, okay, which is called blockchain, is a trusted distributed ledger which is shared across all the businesses in that particular business network. That means only one ledger will be there that will be shared among all the participants in the network. It allows shared replicated permissioned ledger with consensus, provenance, immutability, and finality. It means this same ledger will be shared across all the entities in the network, that is business network, which is replicated and permission ledger. That means the control will be given by some people. It will be permission ledger. In order to make any changes in the ledger, first of all, permission need to be taken. Once the permission is taken, and set of people will go for reaching to a consensus that the transaction that is going to be entered in the ledger is verified, validated, then only a consensus will be achieved by the set of people. Once the consensus is achieved by the set of people, then they will allow to write this transaction onto the ledger, which will make the suitable recording of the transaction. So this diagram, the previous diagram was modified to achieve the distributed consensus and to maintain a distributed ledger across all the participating entities in the network. I am going to explain the blockchain concept with a simple example. Let's consider there are two entities in the blockchain network. One is Ramu, another is Gopal. Ramu has sent rupees 1000 based upon the material received from Gopal. So Ramu has sent rupees 1000 to Gopal. Since Ramu and Gopal are the entities in the business network, they used to maintain ledgers of their own. In those ledgers, Ramu has to write in a valid way that to Gopal rupees 1000 has been sent. At the same time, Gopal need to write in his own ledger that from Ramu I have received rupees 1000. But it is not guaranteed that the transactions that are entered into the ledger are genuine in a normal situation. The reason is the participants in the business network may be mischievous and may write the transactions according to their own wish and will. So Ramu might have written instead of to Gopal rupees 1000, he might have written to Gopal rupees 1500. Gopal may write in his ledger that from Ramu instead of rupees 1000 is received, he may write rupees 500. So the actual transaction was happened is Ramu to Gopal rupees 1000. But this is okay with the two entities. But in case of business network, there may be multiple entities. Ramu may also trade with multiple entities. At the same time, Gopal may also trade with multiple entities. So in this example, only two entities are considered, Ramu and Gopal. But in a business network, there may be multiple entities. If any auditor wants to verify these transactions, auditor may come individually to the Ramu's ledger and may verify the balance sheet over there. The same thing can also be done at the Gopal. That means the auditing procedure is an individual process, cannot be centralized by combining all the ledgers. However, even though only two participants are there, auditor may take pain and combine two ledgers of Ramu and Gopal and can go for verification. But in a large business network, in moderately big business network, there will be multiple entities involved. Then how this auditing process will be happened by combining all the business ledgers is a very difficult task. So that is the reason to overcome the difficulties of this, we will move on to the blockchain network, in which we are going to maintain a peer-to-peer network. Peer-to-peer network means all the participants in the business network will be peers, and any transaction that was initiated or created in the network will be sent, or a copy of the transaction will be sent to everyone in the network. That means who are participating in the network. Assume that there are the participants Krishna, Paras, and Radha are the other entities in the network. Assume that this entire network is a peer-to-peer network. In peer-to-peer network, these are the entities participating. Now, the transaction that is generated, Ramu sent ₹1,000 to Gopal. A copy of this transaction will be sent to Krishna, Radha, and Paras. Now, the main thing or main task of these three entities is, first one, transaction verification. In this, they will try to identify the entity identity, and key verification will be done. Second one is transaction validation to be done. That is, signature verification will be performed. Third one is reaching to the consensus with the help of consensus protocols. Next, fourth one, creating immutable ledgers. Thereby, creating of the block will be taken place. You may surprise that how these four steps will be performed. Recall our previous videos in which we have discussed the middle pillar or middle foundation of the blockchain out after the networking concept, that is cryptography. Recall the cryptography concept in which the public key cryptography is widely used in the blockchain, especially the elliptic curve public key cryptography is popularly used in the blockchain network. Assume in public key cryptography, or assume the elliptic curve cryptography used for blockchain, when the participants are there in the peer-to-peer network, all the participants who are joining in the blockchain network will be supplied with public and private keys. Recall that both the public and private keys are used for encryption and decryption. So whenever the participants are there in the network, including Ramu, Gopal, Krishna, Paras, and Radha, all these entities are supplied with the public and private key pairs. Now, whenever Ramu is going to initiate the transaction of sending of ₹1,000 to Gopal, Ramu use his identity. The identity may be public key. The public key is known to anyone. Anyone can know the address or public key of anyone in the peer-to-peer network or this blockchain network. So Ramu will use public key as his identity. In the same way, Gopal may also use his public key as identity. Will the public key can be directly used as identity? No. Public key will be hashed using SHA 256. Whatever the hash or message digest will come, they may use the message digest as their own identity. So Ramu will use his identity and will send the Gopal's identity ₹1,000, and this entire transaction will be encrypted using the Ramu's private key. At the same time, this transaction will be hashed using SHA 256, and a message register will come. The copy of the transaction consisting of identity of Ramu, identity of Gopal, encrypted transaction using the Ramu's private key and the cryptographic hash of this entire transaction. These three copies will be sent to Krishna, Radha and Paras. Now, whenever this copy of the transaction is received, first transaction verification will be done. Since Krishna, Paras and Radha are the peers in the blockchain network, they know the public key of Ramu and Gopal. Whenever they know the public key of Ramu and Gopal, they may go for the cryptographic hash on the public key of Ramu and Gopal and can know the identity. So thereby they will verify the identity as well as key. Recall the non-repudiation property that I have explained in the elliptic curve digital signature algorithm, in which first digital signature generation will be done, then the digital signature will be verified. This particular digital signature algorithm is especially used for satisfying the property called non-repudiation, in which the sender cannot deny in future that he has not sent the transaction or a message. In the same way, Ramu, since the Ramu is using the private key for encrypting the transaction, anyone who receives that encryption can decrypt using the Ramu's public key, which is the concept of signature. Ramu may use elliptic curve digital signature algorithm to sign the transaction. Once the transaction is signed by Ramu, Krishna, Paras and Radha can use the public key of Ramu and can verify that this transaction has been initiated by the Ramu. Thereby, once the signature is verified, the transaction is validated. Once the transaction is validated and transaction is verified, the participating entities like Krishna, Paras and Radha can achieve a consensus via a consensus protocol, maybe Byzantine fault tolerance or Paxos or any other consensus protocol, by concluding that this transaction is a valid transaction and a verified transaction, so this transaction can be committed. Once the consensus is achieved, then the transaction will be permanently written onto the ledger by creating the cryptographic hash of the transaction, and over a period of time, the consensus or achieved transactions that are generated in the network are grouped into a set, and that particular set is said to be a block. In order to not to tamper the block, the Merkle tree data structure is used. The hash of the individual transactions will be grouped into a tree structure. Thereby, a bottom-up tree will be built up, and thereby a root hash will be generated, which is called Merkle root. With this Merkle root, one can verify if any of the transaction is tampered, the root hash will be changed. Thereby, one can come to know that any transaction was tampered in that block or not. Thereby, once the block transaction or block hash is tampered, that means the block will become invalid. Once the block will become invalid, all the transactions that are included in the block will become invalid. Thereby, it will achieve the immutable ledger property. Let's say, for example, there are blocks, block n minus 1, block n plus 1. In block, the set of transactions, using set of transactions, Merkle root will be calculated and Merkle root hash will be calculated. Along with the Merkle root hash, the hash of the transactions, the entire block hash will be calculated. This block hash will be used as the entity in the next block. In the next block also, there will be a set of transactions, again Merkle root, again the block hash. And the next block hash will be used in the next block. That means The hash of the block n minus 1 will be used in block n, and the block n hash, that is hash of the block n, will be used in block n plus 1, and hash of the block n plus 1 is used in block n plus 2. Like that, the sequence of chaining will be happened. That is the reason it is said to be blockchain. That means if any disturbance was happened in the block n minus 1, that will reflect the block n, also block n plus 1, also block n plus 2. Thereby, all the blocks will become invalid and the transactions that are included in the block also invalid. There is a reason no one will dare to modify the transactions which are included in the block. Thereby, without having the centralized authority, blockchain network will achieve trust and security via verification, validation, consensus, and immutable recording of the transactions. I hope with this example, you come to know what are the combinations of the bits and pieces and the blockchain foundations that I have discussed in the previous lectures are useful for understanding the blockchain concept. With this, I will conclude this video, and from the next video onwards, with the understanding that we have gained using this uh, the blockchain foundations, I am going to move on to the introduction of the Bitcoin and Bitcoin case study.